Hello, Mastermind. We are discussing the idea of respect. Now, the idea of respect comes onto opposite ends of the platform. There is the feeling of respect, and then there's the feeling of being disrespected. So in this video, I want to open the conversation and open the platform for questions, for answers, for dialogue about what happens when we feel disrespected and how do we overcome it? How do we come back from the feeling of disrespect? Now, the first thing that comes to mind is the ego. We have to make sure that we're not the person that is consistently being a victim, playing a victim, or in the role of story where we feel like we're consistently disrespected. So we are absolutely capable of being disrespected by others, but there's like a 3-point checklist in the beginning. 1, is it your ego that feels hurt? 2, is it a story in your mind that you cycle unwillingly? 3, are you playing a victim? Or the next part would be, okay, if those 3 are not it, then how did you feel disrespected? What happened? How can you overcome it? And how can you actually artfully communicate with the person or the experience in which you feel disrespected by or from? So this goes in many different directions because so many of us feel like we've been disrespected by people, by lovers, by jobs and careers, or just by friends even. Even family members can disrespect us. So here are some tips if you've ever felt disrespected and it's validated, right? And whether or not it's your ego or your story, of course you can feel validated, but what I don't want you to come out of this with is that it's okay to be a victim. It's okay to feel somber all of the time. That's not a part of the BeyondEgo movement. BeyondEgo means that you go beyond who you think you ought to be, stepping into who you fully are. And when you step into who you fully are, you take so much accountability and responsibility for some of the crap that happens in your life, some of the downs in your life, and you take a little bit of responsibility as part of that dance, right? Because sometimes when we are disrespected, maybe we've allowed situations to cross boundaries, to blur boundaries, and therefore that inhibits the opportunity to feel disrespected. Then how can you get mad at that when you've actually played a part, right? So sometimes it's not actually getting mad at the other person, sometimes it's getting upset at yourself for why did you play the allower, or why did you play the victim, or why did you actually allow someone to disrespect you? Maybe they've done it over and over again. So a few tips on how to overcome if you feel like you've been disrespected so that it doesn't happen again. The first thing to do is to understand that you're responsible and you're accountable for your life, right? It feels easy when we're disrespected to blame and to point and to place judgments on other people or circumstances or events or jobs or careers or lovers, whatever has happened, the situation, whatever has happened. It is absolutely so easy to point and blame. But that's not really a part of this leadership movement. It's not really a part of the BeyondEgo mindset, especially in this platform. So the first thing to do would just take a responsibility and an accountability for your role in the situation. And maybe someone has wronged you or a situation has wronged you, but use that to light the fire in your belly to apply what you've learned so that you don't make the mistake again of being an allower or allowing someone maybe to steamroll over you consistently, right? The next tip I would give to you is, it comes from my book, Design Your Mind to Be Kind, is to fly above yourself, right? To fly above yourself in an imaginary sense, of course, with the birds behind me, is to lead by example and to come above while you're speaking, while you're acting, while you're behaving, while you're listening, while you're in certain situations with people, so that you're coming from a place from here and looking down on how you act and behave in your life. From that focal point of view, from that distance from above, you are able to see so much more than than you would be if you're in like the eye-to-eye situation, because sometimes we have that fight or flight moment where we get disrespected and we're ready to fight, or we throw words around like weapons. So when you feel like you're disrespected, use that fly above approach to understand if it's real and if it's not. And if it is real, choose to use your words calmly and kindly, and actually take a few deep breaths so that you're not reacting to the situation and then you'll regret it later, right? And the last tip on being disrespected is to earn the respect for yourself back, right? There's no need to stay down. The downs in our life are a chance to use the fertile soil to lift back up. If we've been disrespected, we have to watch out for the similar behaviors of other people or other jobs or circumstances, careers, bosses, micromanagers, lovers in our lives, clients, people, family, friends. If your tribe that you're in your network with is actually not behaving appropriately and it's consistent, then there's a moment there where you can actually say, okay, I have to distance myself, number one. Number two, I have to look out for the similarities in the behaviors in other people so that I'm not caught off guard again. And most importantly is the idea to speak and act from your highest self, right? The opposite end of ego, which is the low self, is your higher self. Your higher self wants you to be good and do good in this world, even if you were better than you were 5 minutes ago. Now, being disrespected is not fun, right? The actual enactment of feeling disrespected is like a sigh or a cry or throwing our hands around or cursing or just feeling like you can cry, and again, we blame. So it's not really fun to feel disrespected. And we can feel disrespected a lot of times, but a majority of the time, again, going back to the first tip, is to remember that we're accountable and responsible. So if you're consistently disrespected by people, do your part and healthily distance, or find those traits in other people and make sure you stay away. And the other thing, the most important part about being disrespected, if you have the chance, is to communicate with the person. And you might not have to go into detail, but instead of blaming and pointing and judging, you can actually take the opposite approach. It's like the role reversal. It's like psychological effect here. It's to tell them that they hurt you. And instead of being you did this and you did that mode, and this can go for those of you who are parents, right? You can actually say to someone with a calm breath to say that you hurt my feelings and I feel disrespected, or I feel hurt by what you did or what you said or how you acted, and I'm not going to put up with it again. And if you want to be in my network or in my circle or close to me, I ask that we take it on a higher level next time. And obviously you're going to know what to say, but the beauty of being able to communicate to that person in a kind, thoughtful, respectful way back. If someone disrespects you and doesn't give you the pathway, doesn't give you the toll booth to give them disrespect right back, because that would just be silly. It would be an egoic situation, and you're better than that. So I'd like to open up the discussion in our groups and in our Facebook group to talk about how you've been disrespected in the past or in your current situation, and how you've acted and how that has helped you move forward from a certain situation. So this is not really an easy topic, but it's a helpful topic for all of us to come together as leaders to share some of the knowledge and some of the stories of our lives so that we can learn from one another. Being disrespected is not a fun thing, but it does give us the answers and the situations to apply what we've learned to be better people, better leaders, and better human beings. So that is my story on being disrespected. And although you want to go like this, I say go like this. Take a breath and don't judge. Turn the searchlight inward. Love you guys.